Centuries before our guardian rose from the dead, Calus rose to his throne as Emperor of the Cabal people. It was at a time when the Empire was ruled by a corrupt elite known as the Praetorate, who used the military to enforce their wealth and position. The young Calus saw himself as a father to all of his people, who had been forced to suffer so the legions could grow. So he began his rule with the violent and total destruction of the Praetorate and its militant government regime. He writes, "My imperial guard marched into the temple where the Senate convened. They formed a protective circle from which I might bestow the gift of my address. From this day forward, I shall take up all the empire in my embrace, for I am father of the empire as I am father to all creation. I will suffer no tired institution, no petty bureaucrat to stand between me and my children. I am the perfect loving God, and all will tremble to know me." The Imperial Guard charged their railguns in perfect unison. Calus murdered the Senate, but he didn't stop there. He took the leaders of the Praetorate and stripped them of their wealth, power, and dignity. Life offers few greater pleasures than to humiliate the venal aristocracy before a crowd. I never thought of my palace as the true court. The only throne that mattered to me looked down upon the public commons. From that seat, there was no barrier between me and the glorious, adoring mob. I was their father. They were my children. It was there that I brought the corrupt to suffer the people's justice. How they cried as I threw their riches to the crowd. It amused me to see the dawning of realization in their eyes. There would be no safety for them, as there had been no safety for those they had made to suffer. One by one, I tossed those weeping fools to the people. The mob let out a great cry of joy and stripped them of their robes, tore the jewelry from their bodies. One of the Praetorate leaders, known only as the Consul, experienced a particularly harsh fate at the hands of Calus. "The first act of my coronation was to have the Consul kneel at my feet. He was a pathetic figure, stripped of title, rank, and clothing. He would never wield power again, and would beget no heir. I made sure of that personally. I had only a single word for him: run. The golden sun would burn away his corrupt form, a fitting symbol for the revolution that was to be my reign." Exiled into a desert wasteland, somehow the Consul survived his ordeal and would return years later, twisted with hatred, burning with a singular purpose: to end Calus's reign and take away everything dear to him. But for a time, Calus's reign was characterized by peace, growth, and celebration. He granted citizenship to the military legions of the Cabal. He also moved to free the Scions from their indentured lives. Calus lived opulently and gave opulently. In his words, "I offered their stolen riches back to my Cabal, and I vowed to celebrate our existence in the highest luxury, to set an example for my empire, no privileged few, but decadence for all." Calus's court grew, filled with advisors and military leaders. Calus did not discriminate by race or birthright, but elevated those around him from all different places. His scientist, the freeborn Otsot, a scion savant. His confidant, Iskaal of Fontor, a simple tea merchant from the streets of the capital city. And eventually, the disfigured albino, Dominus Gaul. Calus first discovered Gaul at his Colosseum, Smaller than the other gladiators, he was an albino from the outer wastes. He would defeat opponents 3 times his weight, fighting with terrible discipline and patience. Calus fell in love with Gaul's impressive displays of combat and decided he was too valuable to risk in the Colosseum. He appointed him Primus of the Red Legion as the enforcer to Calus's vision of a perfect world. Gaul's nickname became the Ghost Primus for his albino disfigurement, and he would rise in rank into Calus's inner circle. Calus came to see the Ghost Primus as a son, but what Calus didn't realize was that Gaul was already a pawn of the consul, who had long ago sunk his fangs of influence into Gaul's mind. The Ghost Primus's loyalty was not to his emperor. It was only at the very end of his reign that Calus ever began to suspect his Primus. He reads, "Gaul spent too much time in close communion with those I had humbled. No good could come of those hushed tones and sidelong glances. Did he think I would not notice? I dispatched a spy to follow him. To think that I felt guilt in that moment. One should never doubt their gut when it comes to trust in another." But it was already too late. The council and Gaul had extended their influence throughout Calus's court, even reaching so far as to include his own daughter. Gaul's revolution to reshape the Cabal Empire was coming, and with it, war. Hey YouTube! Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the Cabal Empire, you can follow my entire Anthology series on YouTube. I put out a new video every week. This is the first video in the series and will be followed by part 2, titled The Midnight Coup. Please like and subscribe my channel. It helps me keep going and notifies you when my next video is up. Until next time, this is Mediocre Guardian, signing off.